It's earnings season, guys, and I'm so excited as majority of our favorite companies will all be reporting their second quarter earnings at some point throughout the rest of this week and also throughout next week. Typically, earnings season creates some fantastic opportunities to invest in wonderful companies who may have missed analyst estimates but still grew their earnings from the previous quarter. However, because the companies missed on analyst expectations and analyst estimates, on occasions the shock of the company missing can scare investors and they'll start to sell their shares, which will in effect cause the share price to drop. This exact same thing happened just last week with Netflix. They missed on analyst estimates and their share price tanked 15%, guys. But when you look at the first quarter earnings, Netflix actually grew its earnings from the last quarter. Yes, it wasn't what analysts expected, but it still added millions of users to its platform, and as a result, its earnings were still positive. And now investors are starting to see that it was an overreaction, and now price is starting to recover and it's starting to climb back up once again. So if Netflix is anything to go by, we are going to see some fantastic investing opportunities, which is why I'm so excited for this earnings season. And so for today's video, guys, I'm going to show you exactly how you too can also be prepared to capitalize on these incredible opportunities when they present themselves. I will show you exactly how you can find out when your favorite stock or your favorite company will be reporting its earnings, and also what analysts estimate the earnings will be. I will also be showing you my top stocks that I will be watching closely for their earnings reports this week and also next week. And lastly, I will be showing you why it's important to keep focused on the bigger picture rather than the short-term market price gyrations. All right, so don't forget to smash the like button, guys, as it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new, I want to say welcome, and I hope you gain a ton of value from today's content. And if you do, hit the subscribe button, as it'll be really cool having you on board. What's going on, guys? My name is Emmanuel and welcome to my channel. This second quarter earnings is going to be massive. You have to remember, guys, the first quarter earnings, which is from January through to March, wasn't a true reflection on the impact of the Rona. So most companies were operational throughout the first quarter. But second quarter, that's when we were in full lockdown across the board, and all businesses were impacted by the lockdown. So some businesses, of course, thrived tremendously, and some businesses took an absolute hammering and they were not able to operate at all. We will only know the full impact of the Rona on their revenues once the companies report their second quarter results. And guys, remember, if Netflix could drop way over 15% because it missed analyst estimates but still grew its earnings and also had a positive earnings, what do you think will happen when wonderful companies not only miss analyst estimates but also report negative earnings as a result of the lockdown? Fear could really set in this week, and we will definitely see some great opportunities to invest. I'm excited, guys. That's enough talk. Let's just jump straight into today's video.
Alright guys, so before we digress into the earnings calendars and also the stocks that I'm going to be watching this week and next week, I'm aware that a lot of my subs are new to investing and may not understand what an earnings per share means or how it's calculated. So I believe it's important we do a recap of what an earnings per share is. And if you already know what it means, my apologies, but I do want to make sure that we're all on the same page with this video, okay? So a key takeaway here, guys, I'm on Investopedia. So Investopedia is a great website, guys, if you are struggling for any terminologies or phrases that you may not understand. Just go on investopedia.com and type in the phrase. So the earnings per share is a company's net profit divided by the number of common shares it has outstanding, okay? And the EPS indicates how much money a company makes for each share of its stock, and is widely used as a metrics for corporate profits, okay? So back to this first point, like common shares outstanding, how do you find out that number? And I find it out by going onto Yahoo Finance. Okay guys, so we're on Yahoo Finance for Visa, and if you want to find out how many shares Visa as a company has outstanding, you click on statistics. So once you're on statistics, all you have to do on the right hand side, if you go down to share statistics, and you can see here guys, Visa has 1.6 billion shares outstanding. Okay, so it takes its net profit for the year and divides it by 1.6 billion shares outstanding, and then that will give you the figure for your earnings per share. And I hope that makes sense, guys, and that's just really what it is, because when we look into these earnings calendars with analysts, they estimate what the EPS is. So now you know what an EPS is. It's simply the net profit divided by the amount of shares that a company has outstanding. Okay, so now we know what an EPS is, an earnings per share. How do you find out the calendar or the dates or when your company or your favorite stock is going to announce their earnings? All you have to do, guys, is go on Google, type in earnings this week. That's generally what I type. And then if you scroll down, it will give you a whole list of websites that will be reporting its earnings. You have Market Business Insider, Finance, Yahoo.com, even CNBC has an earnings calendar, NASDAQ, Bloomberg, etc. But I personally am going to use Finance Yahoo for this, simply because it gives you a breakdown of how many earnings you're going to get for that day. So you can see yesterday there were 74 earnings released. Today, which is Tuesday the 21st, 78 earnings. Tomorrow it's 131 earnings. Thursday got 156 earnings, and so forth. And also you can scroll to next week, so you can prepare beforehand. One of the cool things about Yahoo Finance is that you can literally go onto the find earnings for symbols and just type in Visa, for example, and it will give you all of Visa's earnings dates, so even their future ones. And also their past ones, which is really, really incredible. Okay, so now that we're on Visa, I'm not going to try and hide. My first company that I'm going to be looking at is Visa. I've done a deep analysis on why I think Visa is one of the best stocks to hold for the long term. Have a look, guys. So on July 29th, Visa are going to be reporting their earnings. All right, and as you can see here, guys, it has EPS estimates. Okay, so this is what the analysts are expecting Visa to report as their earnings per share. So earnings per share, the expectation for Visa is $1.03 EPS. Okay, so obviously we will find out on the 29th, which is next week, what their reported earnings per share will be. And based on what it will be, it will generate a surprise indicator. So if you look back in history, so the first quarter earnings for Visa was on April 30th, and the expectation for analysts was for them to report an earnings per share of $1.35, but they actually beat expectations and they reported $1.38. Okay, so that caused a 2+ surprise. All right. If you go back to the 30th of January, their fourth quarter earnings report, they were expected to make $1.46, and they actually hit that, but it was still a surprise because I guess people thought they might beat that, but they actually matched the estimates. Now, if you look down in history, guys, for Visa, all green. All of the estimated EPSs that were announced were all beaten by Visa. You know, they beat pretty much majority of the analyst estimates for years now. You would have to go all the way back to 2015, November 2nd, to find a time where Visa actually missed earnings estimates. Okay, they were expected to make 63 cents EPS, but they actually made 62 cents EPS. You know, again, we're talking like pennies here, all right? And again, they've been quite consistent since 2015, and that's also reflected in the market price. Let me take you to their charts. All right, guys, so we're on trading view, and as you can see here, so what it was November 2015 when they missed their earnings, but since then they've been hitting their earnings per share. And I look at that rise, guys. That is just incredible. Look at the growth. Every time they've hit their earnings per share, they've risen by 196% return. So this is what I mean by the earnings week being a significant week, because typically when companies beat the EPS estimates, it generally rises. Back in 2015, the share price for Visa was $82 a share, and it's constantly been beating analyst expectations, and it's had a massive run up to $214 a share. So this is why I say if a company misses their earnings, there might be a slight pullback. And let's take a look at Netflix. The analyst estimates was $1.82. As you can see here, guys, as I mentioned in my intro with Netflix, their earnings per share estimates was at $1.82, but they actually reported $1.59. So of course, they missed their estimates. But despite them missing their estimates, if you have a look, their first quarter for 2020, they actually did grow their earnings per share, because Netflix reported 157 as their EPS. And although analysts were expecting $1.81 or $1.85, they actually reported $1.59. So they did outperform their previous quarter, but it still was a surprise. They missed their EPS estimates and the price dropped. So that's a great opportunity for us to get in if you are bullish on Netflix, okay? All right, guys, so back to Visa. So I reckon Visa will destroy their EPS, but if they don't, and they report an EPS less than the estimates, I'll be looking for a pullback. All right, guys, so we're on Visa now. So my current average position in Visa is $175 a share. And it's simply because I've been averaging up. I've been buying more shares as it's been going up. So if there is a significant pullback below $185 a share, I would like to add to my position. But then again, I don't expect Visa to miss on their estimates. I expect them to beat their estimates. But if they don't, that would be my entry point at 185 per share. Alright, guys, so we're now on Tesla, and they're not entirely sure when Tesla will be announcing their earnings. They think it will be on July 22nd or July 23rd, but analysts are expecting Tesla to actually lose money. They're expecting them to lose 11 cents EPS. I think Tesla might beat their EPS, because if you look at it from their first quarter on April 29th, analysts expected them to report a minus 25 cents, but they actually destroyed analyst expectations by reporting a profit, and not only a profit of $1.14 a share, and that caused a massive surprise for investors. And of course, if you've been following Tesla's stock, you can see it's gone to the moon. It's currently trading at about $1,600 a share. So I think Tesla might beat their estimates. So guys, if Tesla do not beat their earnings per share estimates, I can see a significant pullback on the stock price. I'm currently not an investor in Tesla, but I am a huge fan of Tesla. And if there's any opportunity to get in at a really good price, then I'll be keeping my eye on that. So that's why Tesla's on my watch list, guys, and I think it should be on yours as well. They do have a lot of great things coming up, especially with Battery Day. So I think that's very important. All right, so keep an eye on Tesla. All right, guys, so my next company that I'll be keeping a close eye on today is Square Inc., ticker symbol SQ. And they're going to be reporting their earnings on August the 6th, okay? They're expected to lose minus 0.05 EPS. And if you take a look at their previous quarter, guys, they actually were expecting Square to make money, and they ended up losing money. So I guess that's why they're now expecting them to continue to lose money, because think about it. The first quarter, they were still operational, but they ended up losing money. So I'm not confident that Square would match this earnings per share. I think they might come under, they might lose a bit more than that, because obviously all of the businesses have been closing. I think that might have a significant impact on the share price. And I'm very bullish on Square. I've done a Square analysis video quite recently. So I'll be keeping a lookout for Square, and I'll be wanting to add to my position with Square. So my average position for Square is about $100. And guys, I bought in at Square when it was 70, but I've just been averaging my position higher because I just am extremely bullish on Square. So if they do not hit their earnings per share and there is a significant pullback, especially if it pulls back below $100, then I'm going to be adding to my position in Square. I love the company, I love the Cash App side of the business, and I'm extremely bullish on Square. Okay guys, so my next company that I'm going to be looking at is Microsoft, ticker symbols MSFT. And as you can see, Microsoft is another company that have kept on growing. They've been surprising analysts year after year. In fact, the last time where they didn't exceed analyst estimates was back in 2016. So very similar to Visa, they were expected to make 64 cents earnings per share, but they reported only 62 cents, which again is not a massive surprise. But they've been very consistent. I do expect Microsoft to beat their earnings per share of $1.36. But if they don't, then I would expect for the market to have a pullback. So I think long-term Microsoft's growth will continue. My next stock, which might be surprising, is Virgin Galactic, ticker symbols SPCE. I've been keeping a close eye on this company because everyone seems to be talking about this company. It's got a lot of hype around it, and you know, hype does push the market price higher. They're expected to report their earnings on August the 3rd, 2020, and they're expected to report a loss of 26 cents per share. And I think they probably will report that. And if they do report worse figures than this, then of course that might cause the share price to decline. I would say Virgin Galactic Holdings is definitely a speculative play. Definitely keep an eye out on that, guys, and I might do an analysis video on Virgin Galactic, okay? Alright guys, so the next company that I'm going to be watching for their earnings per share is Amazon. Ticker symbol is AMZN. And as you can see, guys, on the 31st of July, they're going to be reporting their EPS. They're expected to report $1.33 EPS. I think they will beat that, to be honest. I really believe Amazon will beat that, because if you look at their previous, they've reported 5, 6, 4, 5, 7, and you know, Amazon's are one of those companies that really thrived off the lockdown, and I think they will report higher than expected earnings, and then that's only going to boost Amazon's share price drastically. So if they do underperform, which I strongly doubt it, then that will be a massive surprise for everyone, and that might create some buying opportunities right there. Alright guys, so next is Facebook, ticker symbol FB, and they're reporting their earnings next week, July 30th, and the expected earnings per share is a profit of $1.38. This is a bit of a tricky one because obviously they had a lot of boycotts and a lot of companies stopped their ad revenue. So I think Facebook might actually struggle to beat this EPS. And I think if they do, that will cause the share price to drop lower, and that might create some more buying opportunities for us as investors. So definitely July 30th, guys. If anything, have this stock on your watch list because it could create some fireworks. Alright guys, so last on my list is Etsy, ticker symbol ETSY. And I do have quite a large position in Etsy, and their earnings will be reported on August 6, 2020, and the EPS is expected to be 38 cents per share. I think Etsy will blow this out of the park. They've been having a phenomenal time during the lockdown, especially with the sales of face masks, and also it was in their investors report that they've been killing it. So I do expect Etsy to destroy their earnings per share, and if they don't, that will be a huge surprise for me as a shareholder. But I think Etsy will be fine, to be honest. In the long term, I think Etsy will do just fine. Okay guys, so that wraps up the stocks that I'll be watching during earnings season. I must stress it's important to keep an eye on the updates from the companies that you do decide to invest in. I usually go on Reuters and I type in the company and I just look at any news reports, any new developments going on. So if they do miss the EPS or the earnings per share, however, there's been loads of news reports about their expansion and new projects that's in the pipeline. I think in the long term that will give me confidence as an investor that the company is still expanding and still growing. Okay guys, so another top tip for finding out new reports or developments for the company that you've invested in. If you go on Google and just type in like Visa investor relation, right? So once it brings up the investor relation page, you just click on Visa Inc. And typically on the company's websites, they have like news reports. So these are their official news reports. You just click on that, tell me more, and there you've got all of the official news reports from the company that you're invested in. So I was reading this last week regarding Visa's expansion plans to make digital checkout experiences much easier and much safer for their clients and their customers. So I think this is great, and this is how I keep on top of my companies. Alright guys, so just to make you aware, all of the companies that were listed in today's video are available on trading212. On the instrument search, all you have to type in is the company's name, and it will come up here. You can type in even their ticker symbol, so FB, which represents Facebook, Click on Facebook. If you wanted to buy a share on trading212, it will cost you £189 to buy one share of Facebook. Again, we mentioned Etsy. Again, it will pop up. Just make a position for Etsy. If you wanted to buy one for Etsy, it costs £81. Enter your company's information and it should be available on trading212.
Guys, I'm still sitting in cash right now, precisely waiting for opportunities like this. The fact is, wonderful companies will go on sale due to short-term market fear. And I want to be able to deploy some serious cash into these opportunities. You have to understand the business and the company's long-term expansion plans for you to remain confident in the long-term growth of that company. Peter Lynch said, understanding the reason for past sales growth will help you form a good judgment as to the likelihood of past growth rates continuing. As always, guys, make sure you do your own due diligence and your own analysis before you decide to invest in any company. Invest in your own investing knowledge by using the links that I have in the description below. Grab yourself a copy of those books, guys, and start learning. And if you want to start investing, I would highly recommend my broker, trading212. Click the link in the description below and trading212 will give us both a free share. With all that said, guys, don't forget to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to see more content from myself. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in my next one. Peace.